Hey guys, today we're sewing a sick pair of cargo denim jeans. You can find the pattern on my website and Patreon page. The link is in the video description down below, and for the fastest 10 of you, there's a 20% discount with the code CARGO. If you don't want to miss the next sewing tutorials, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and if you like the cargo jeans, I'm very happy about every thumbs up. To sew the pair of cargo jeans, I use my normal sewing machine, the Singer HD 6335M, but also my overlock from Yuki, the MO50EN. If you only have a normal sewing machine, no problem at all. I'm gonna explain everything within this framework, and all the parts that I'm sewing with the overlock are just a nice extra. But what do we actually need to sew the cargo jeans? Approximately 3 to 3.5 meters of denim fabric, a 14 centimeter long zipper, sewing needles that are suitable for jeans, i.e. universal or jeans needles, 9 snap buttons, a normal sewing foot, an edge sewing foot, and a zipper sewing foot, an iron, a pair of scissors, a seam ripper, a tape measure, chalk or a colored pencil, and thread that matches the color of the fabric. Once we have all our utensils together, we need to prepare our pattern. To do this, we lay all the paper pages in front of us in the correct order and cut everything perfectly along the edges. Then we need to glue all the small individual pieces together to make our final pattern pieces using sellotape. Now we can start with the cutting. For the fabric, I chose a light blue 100% cotton denim. By the way, if you're wondering where to get really good denim fabric, just wait a while, I will have something soon. We now spread the fabric out completely. Pay attention to the weave direction of the fabric. For pants, you should make sure that the weave direction is vertical for all pieces. First, we take a few pattern pieces from which we will only cut out one piece at a time. These are the front left and right trouser legs, the small coin pocket, the zipper cover, the fly shield, and the strip for the belt loops. I cut out all these parts directly from the pattern pieces. If you want to be on the safe side and make sure that nothing slips, you can weigh down all the pieces with something, draw the outline, and then cut everything out. Next, we take our piece for the back pocket of our pants. Now pay attention. We are now going to start drawing out pieces that we need more than one of, but only use one pattern piece. For the back trouser pockets, make sure you cut out 2 mirrored pieces. We always need one piece for the right side of the trousers and one for the left. For the 4 cargo pockets, we need 2 right and 2 left pocket bags, 4 side strips, and a total of 8 pieces for the pocket flaps, 4 for the right and 4 for the left. Make sure you mirror the pieces correctly when tracing them. Now fold the fabric on top of each other and place our pattern piece for the back trouser leg, the bridge, and both pocket bag types for the front pockets on top. This is then all cut out again. Finally, we fold our fabric again and place the pattern piece for the waistband on top and draw the outline. This is then cut out. And now we get our iron ready, because to make the trousers a complete success, we will iron each part once. Make sure you follow all the ironing steps in this video. Believe me, it completely changes the end result of a garment. I often skipped a lot in the beginning, but that's not a good idea in the long run. By the way, you could also wash the fabric first and then iron it, but that takes too long for me. The small factor by which the fabric shrinks only comes into play after the first wash. As soon as we have finished ironing everything, we mark the wrong side of the fabric on all our pieces. Do this just to be on the safe side in case the left and right sides of the fabric are slightly similar. This will help you avoid unnecessary mistakes when sewing them together. Now we start with the back of the trousers. To do this, we lay our 2 back trouser legs in front of us and use the pattern piece again to mark the corners for the trouser pockets. Then we take the 2 stays and secure them with clips, right sides facing. You can always pause the video and compare your view with mine to make sure the pieces are positioned correctly. We then sew this passage with a straight stitch. The presser foot simply glides edge to edge with the fabric, and the needle position is in the middle. The stitch length is approximately 3. Next, we go back to the ironing board. Fold the seam allowance down, iron it from the right side, i.e. from the beautiful outer side of the fabric. Now we take our edge sewing foot, set the stitch length to 4, and sew a top stitch seam. We can now turn our attention to the back trouser pockets. To do this, we place them in front of us, and I will show you what we need to do with both using one of them. First, Fold the side edges inwards by approximately 1 cm. Then we fold the top edge in twice, once by 1 cm and then by 2 cm. It may take some time to fold the bottom slanted edge over correctly, but you can manage that too. Now all folded edges must be ironed, though roughly. The first top stitch seam can be then made on the top edge with the needle position in the right. Next, set the needle to the left position and make a second top stitch seam. Now place the pocket on the back trouser leg and pin it in place. The top is of course left open. Sew once all the way around with the edged sewing foot. Both back trouser legs can be attached with clips in the crotch, right sides facing. With a stitch length of 3 and the needle position in the middle, we then sew this passage together. Make sure that you synchronize the transition from the bridge to the trousers on both sides. I then finish the entire piece with the overlock. If you don't have one, you can also check your instruction manual to see what kind of overlock stitch your normal sewing machine has and use it to finish the edges. But you don't have to do that, you can all do it without. Now it gets more challenging. We come to the front of the trousers. We will start with the pockets in a fairly relaxed manner. You can place all the parts in front of you in exactly the same way for orientation. The coin pocket is prepared first. We proceed in the same way as with the back trouser pockets. Fold over the edges, press and make a double top stitch seam on the upper edge. Then we fix the coin pocket a little further to the left center with pins and a distance of 5 cm from the top edge. Sew it on with a stitch length of 3 using the edge sewing foot. This allows us to attach the first pocket bag with the rounding to our trouser leg with clips, right sides facing. This curve is then sewn with the normal presser foot and a stitch length of approximately 2.5. Needle position is in the center. When sewing curves, really try to sew with the curve in a flow. Always align the edge of the presser foot with the edge of the fabric. Next, turn the bag inside out because we use clips, and by sliding back and forth between our fingers, we bring the fabric edges of the curve perfectly together and secure them. This curve is then ironed. Then top stitch the curve once with the edge sewing foot. This allows us to place the rear matching pocket bag, right sides together, on top of the folded bag. Only the short part on the top and a very short part on the outside are fused. The upper section is sewn down completely, very close to the edge from the right side. The outer section is much shorter, about 2 cm. Now the back pocket bag can be properly secured with clips. The entire bag is sewn shut all the way around. Just make sure you start sewing directly at the points where the previously fixed sections end. Now we turn our attention to by far the most difficult part of a pair of trousers, the closure. We place our zipper cover in front of us. Take our 14 cm long zipper and place it right sides together with the slider upside down on the fabric, so to speak. Secure the zipper with pins on the left. Now sew the zipper on for the first time with a normal presser foot, very close to the edge. When you get to the position of the slider, leave the needle in the fabric, raise the presser foot and carefully pull the slider in the desired direction. When it looks like this, we take our zipper foot. Sew the same distance, but this time very close to the zipper teeth. The zipper cover piece can now be placed right sides together on our left front trouser leg. In other words, on the trouser leg that does not have the small fabric overhang at the crotch. The zipper cover is sewn in place using the normal presser foot, a stitch length of 3 and a needle position in the middle. It is then folded inwards and the edge of the fabric is secured again with clips. Now make a top stitch seam with the edge sewing foot according to the length of the zipper cover. Be careful not to sew anything to the zipper in the process. The next step is to paint the curve of the zipper cover. You can actually easily feel the silhouette of the zipper cover through the fabric on the right. Otherwise, you can use the template from the pattern. Painted line is then sewn with the normal presser foot and a stitch length of 4. Feel free to use the hand wheel for the rounding. The second top stitch seam is made with the edge stitch foot, simply using the left edge of the presser foot to follow the first top stitch seam. Now we take our right trouser leg, which has this fabric overhang at the crotch. Fold this overhang inwards and secure it with clips. This is then also ironed. Then we turn everything right side out so that the iron fabric overlap can be placed perfectly on the zipper side that is still exposed and pinned in place. This piece is then sewn in place using the zipper foot and a stitch length of 4. The fly shield can now be taken to hand. Folded right sides together, the bottom slanted edge is sewn together with a straight stitch. On the closed side, I make a diagonal cut on the excess seam allowance. This looks better for the corner, as we are now turning the fly shield right side out. I closed the open side using the overlock. And now watch out. Let's take a close look at the inside of our trouser fly. You should then see a really thin seam allowance on the zipper. This is where the fly shield is placed. Now use the zipper foot to sew the fly shield lengthwise to this narrow seam allowance. You have to concentrate quite well. For the perfect finish, we now make 2 markings on the outside of the zipper cover top stitch seams. At these 2 points, we use a very short stitch length of 1.5 to secure the fly shield so that it does not swing back and forth on the inside. The last step is to close the crotch completely. To do this, of course, fix the short curve right sides together. Now, very important. You should be able to see a pleat. Do not start sewing on it under any circumstances. We only start sewing the rounding together directly behind it. It looks a bit tricky, but it's not. It's just unfamiliar and I've only ever done it with pants. From the top seams downwards, a piece of the crotch lies with a folded edge on the right side. That's correct. This is no longer the case from the point where we have sewn the rounding together after the pleat. There is therefore a smooth transition from a folded fabric passage to a normal one. We top stitch this transition close to the edge, right to the end. Pull the fabric slightly apart after the folded part. The normal seam allowance then folds inside in one direction and we can top stitch as normal. Now we come to the cargo pockets. We are going to make 4 and I will show you everything using just 1. To do this, we take our pattern pieces for the front trouser legs and mark the corner points of the approximately half pocket outline on both trouser legs. First, overlock the top edge of the pocket bag. Then attach the side strip to the pocket bag all the way around, right sides facing. It should look exactly like this at the end. The strip is sewn on with a stitch length of 2.5. The right angled corner can be a little tricky. Simply leave the needle in the fabric, raise the presser foot, and turn it in the next direction. Lower the presser foot again and continue sewing. You can do the same with the diagonal passage. As soon as the strip has been sewn on, we can fold the top edge of the pocket inwards by approximately 1 to 1.5 cm. The 2 seams on the right and left are each folded outwards. Then make a double top stitch seam on the outside of the strip. Next, make a top stitch seam all the way around the cargo pocket. Always make sure that the seam allowance on the back is facing outwards. The fabric can be pulled apart neatly at the corners. For the fabric flap, we take 2 matching pieces, place them right sides together and fasten them with clips. The upper cross edge is left open, as this will not be sewn closed afterwards, but all the other edges will be. As soon as this is done, we make diagonal cuts in the excess fabric at all corners. The pocket flap is now turned over and there should not be so much fabric in the corners. The corners are pressed out nicely and we fix the edges together with clips. A top stitch seam is made all around. We can then place one side of the trouser leg right sides together and secure the outside with clips. This is then sewn together using the normal presser foot, a stitch length of 3 and the needle position in the middle. I also finished the whole thing with the overlock. Now fold the overlocked seam allowance towards the back of the trousers and make a nice top stitch for the outer leg seam. Use stitch length 4 and the edge sewing foot. Using the corner points of the cargo bag drawn at the beginning and the pattern piece, we can now draw the entire silhouette of the cargo bag. To do this, we fold over the seam allowance on the pattern piece so we have a perfect template. Now watch out. Fold the edge of the side strip of the cargo bag inwards by approximately 1 to 1.5 cm. Using the upper corner points, we now start to fix this folded strip with the help of pins. Due to the asymmetrical shape at the bottom of the bag, we have a lot more fabric from the strip to attach there and do not stick with the whole silhouette drawn. Make sure that the folded fabric is always the same width everywhere and that the strip is also attached across the slanted edge. The excess fabric creates a really baggy shape. As soon as everything is attached, sew the strip tightly around the edge. Now fold the fabric on top of each other at both upper corners and sew back and forth over a distance of approximately 2 cm. As there are so many layers of fabric on top of each other, be very careful and use the hand wheel if necessary. I would recommend sewing back and forth 6 to 8 times. Now we grab our pocket flap and place it over the center of our cargo pocket at a distance of 1 to 2 cm. This is then sewn in place and then folded down. Using the edge sewing foot, we now make a very close edged top stitch seam. Of course, we also need buttons for the cargo bag. 2 of each. You can see how to attach these press studs perfectly in this video. Other types of buttons are of course also possible. There are no limits. As soon as we have made our 2 cargo pockets on the one side of our pants, we close the other outer side of the pants in the same way as before. We then attach 2 more cargo pockets there. Now we will really close the trouser legs. To do this, we first look at the top stitch seam of the front trousers to see which direction we need to place the seam allowance of the crotch of the back trousers so that the top stitch seam of the back trousers that follows runs perfectly into that of the front trousers. Once you have this, a nice top stitch seam is made for the back trousers. Then the entire inside leg seam is secured with clips and sewn together with a stitch length of 3. This section is then also finished with the overlock. This allows us to finish the trouser leg openings. To do this, I first fold over approximately 1 cm on these jeans and then fold over another 4 to 5 cm. This strip is pinned all the way around and then neatly ironed. The strip is then sewn from the inside edge to edge with a normal presser foot. The needle position on the left and a stitch length of 4 all the way around. Now we will turn the trousers completely inside out. Next, we take our 2 waistband pieces, place them right sides together. At the left and right ends, fold over a 1 cm wide strip at the bottom. This is how it looks for now. Now we take our belt loop strip. We overlock it lengthwise along the right and left edges. If you don't have an overlock, you don't have to do this. What's about to happen can also be done without overlocking the edges. Now fold in the same amount of fabric from the right and left sides to create a normal strip. Fasten these folded edges with a few clips. Now we can grab our iron. First, evenly iron a 1 cm wide strip around the entire curve of the waistband. Then iron the belt loop strip. The belt loop strip is now top stitched. The needle position is on the right and we guide the presser foot along the edge of the fabric. Then simply turn the strip and do the whole thing again. We now make markings at 11 cm intervals on the belt loop strip so that we can cut off 7 belt loops. Then we take our belt loops and place them with one end always right sides together at the desired point of the upper trouser opening. These are then sewn in place with a short stitch length. For the waistband, start sewing at the folded strip with a stitch length of 3 and the needle position in the middle. Leave the needle in the fabric approximately 3 stitches before the corner, set the stitch length to 2, and sew 2 stitches at a 45-degree angle. Then set the stitch length to 3 again and sew straight along the entire long passage of the waistband. When you reach the other side, repeat the same procedure. We now make 2 diagonal cuts at each corner. This makes the corner look nicer as soon as we turn the waistband. The fabric is now moved back and forth between the fingers all the way around so that the edges are perfectly aligned. This is because it is ironed neatly all the way around. The waistband is now attached to the trousers, right sides facing, starting at the fly shield and ending at the zipper cover. Using the normal presser foot, a stitch length of 3 and the needle position in the middle, sew the waistband in place all the way around. The waistband can now be folded over around the fly shield and the zipper cover. The pressed edge can now always be aligned with the seam of the waistband that has just been sewn on and pinned in place. This allows you to top stitch the waistband all the way around. Make sure that you do not accidentally catch any of the waistband loops. The next step is to fold them over by approximately 1.5 cm at the free end and then fix them to the upper edge of the waistband with this end. The lower side of the belt loop is pressed flat with a short straight stitch while sewing. The upper side is sewn close to the top stitching of the waistband. But before we can see the finished result, we need to attach the button for the trouser closure. We will use a press stud again for this. Of course, you can also use another type of button. Have a look at this video of mine. You can determine the position of the button by overlapping the waistband. So mark the right places and attach the button appropriately. And these are the finished cargo jeans. The look is really great. The pockets have a very nice volume and the fit of the pants is perfect. The dark grey metal buttons are a great accent to the light denim fabric. The pants are a great way to get through the day with an airy feel. Sewing jeans like this is definitely a little more challenging, but it's worth all the effort. If you liked the video, then I'm definitely happy about every thumbs up. Feel free to send me your finished sewing projects via Insta. It's always really cool to see what you guys come up with. Feel free to let me know in the comments how you liked the video, and if you got any questions or suggestions, please let me know. See you in the next video. Until then, have fun sewing.